Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Cabinet meeting on in May. Welcome to those of you that are joining us from home as well. We begin our meeting with apologies for absence, and I think we have apologies. Yes, from Councillor Pajai. Anyone else? I think that's it. The minutes of the meeting that we held on the 9th of April, that was the meeting that we discussed the Hurst Master Plan, of course, which was a very important thing for us to be talking about. I think that they're all there, all the minutes are there. Can I agree those are a true record when we complete this?
Agreed.
Yes.
Proposed.
All in favour? Yep, that's unanimous, thank you. Then the declaration of members' interests. Yes, Guy Renner-Thompson.
Apologies. Item 9, the Public and Community Transport Health Needs Assessment, mentions Bellevue in Belford, and I am a trustee there.
Thank you very much indeed, and I'm sure that's noted. That takes us to our first agenda item, which is the enterprise zone at Ashwood Business Park. And I'll ask Councillor Richard Wearmouth to take us through this paper.
Thank you, Leader. I'm going to be relatively brief because we've got quite a packed agenda, but just a little bit of scene setting on this one. So Ashwood Business Park, as you will all know, is located to the southeast of Ashington. It's an enterprise zone as part of the LEP previously agreed. Now it's obviously rolling into the new combined authority, which is just establishing itself today. But this is about developing that land that was acquired by Advance Northumberland to make sure that we got it into proper economic use. It is currently the home of Akzo Nobel, and in the time since it was acquired by Advance, it's had a petrol filling station, it's had some other buildings put in as well, and some good progress being made. This is about the next stage and putting all of the infrastructure in place to make sure that we can get it filled up and creating jobs, which is what the intention is, of course, of the investment, the enterprise zone. So as the cost exercises have gone through in terms of identifying what money was required, we're requiring £2.537977 million pounds to complete the works, and I'll take you to the page 7 of the report, 15 of the pack, that details a little bit of some of the things that are going on. So there's a number of plots 1 through 9 that require enabling works. We've got roads, pavements and street lighting to put in over the course of between now and 2028, a period of 4 years. Included in the work in 2025-2026 financial year is a very significant investment in terms of signalisation of the roundabout on the Spine Road. That's something that has been desired for a long period of time. It's really important to make sure that we get traffic flows correct in and out of Ashington and that southeast corner, and out of Newbiggin as well. We've got in these works as well some upgrade of the power supply to the site, which is really important. You can see in table 9.1 the number of jobs ultimately that it's hoped that we will create on site. Very significant number indeed. I know that whilst it's commercially sensitive, and so I won't go into the potential end users, Advance alongside the council are making good progress in discussions with a couple of significant investments on that site that will help to deliver those jobs. In terms of tiny little bit on how this works. So this work is funded by loans from the LEP, but in this instance the county council is borrowing some money that gets set aside, set against income to the North East LEP, now the combined authority, and that money is therefore repaid over a period of time using the business rates that are retained by the enterprise zone, so that ultimately no one's out of pocket. And there's a whole series of information in the report, which I won't bore you with, about how that works. And the recommendations I would just propose, which are at 3 and go from 3.1 through to 3.1.4.
Thank you very much indeed, and I will second the proposal around those recommendations. This is a site that actually fits very well into the next step, following us putting this into the local plan and into our regeneration and economic strategy, and therefore it's very important that we continue to support all the really good work that Advance are doing there. And I'm quite sure that we will see development happening as soon as we can. But it's really good to take this step to make it an even more attractive site. Are there any questions or queries about this? No? So, the recommendations have been proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour? Could you show? Yes, that is unanimous. So that's really good news, and we look forward to taking the next step on that one. The next agenda item is the Bowes Court housing energy improvement, the outline business case for yet more work in Blythe. I'm going to ask Richard Wearmouth to take us through this one as well.
Thank you, Leader. So again, I'll not spend too much time on this other than to remind everybody that we accepted additional funds from the government in, I think it was July 23 last year. There's a paper appended to this cabinet paper, and so we've accepted those funds previously. This is about dedicating some of that money to make housing energy improvements to a number of properties that are in the heart of Blythe. It's a fantastic pot of £90 million worth of investment going into Blythe, and that doesn't even include, of course, the new stations on the Northumberland line, a whole series of other things that are going on in Blythe and the surrounding area. The recommendations are at section 3 again, and you can see them at 3.1 through to 3.3. Probably the one that gives you the most information in terms of the actual investment itself is is at 3.2, which talks about the quantum of investment, the cost of 1.9 million, with some funding from the deep dive, with other bits from the housing revenue account to deliver this energy performance improvement work on our stock. And I'll leave it at that. Other than to say that if you want a really detailed breakdown, you can turn to page 24 of the pack at 5.10. There's a table there that shows you all the wonderful things that money will be spent on in terms of solar PV panels, in terms of improvement to ventilation, top-up insulation, re-roofing, and so on and so forth. And then the schedule of the works in terms of the project milestones, which are in section 6, page 25 of the pack.
Very good, thank you. So this is the next step in Blythe, and a very welcome one. I do need to say thank you to all the staff who were so capable and so tuned in to be able to pull together all the grants that have come into Blythe, because without their hard work and diligence, we would not be in this position today. But similarly, I'm grateful to our administration that we have 3 key priorities. One of those, and they are all equally important, one of those is tackling inequalities. And here we have 64 houses in this particular part of Blythe, which is one of the most deprived wards in the country. So this is what we are spending the money that government have helped us with, money that's come from the south and come to the north through levelling up. And we are spending it exactly where it needs to be spent, in those areas where we want to help the people we can help the most. So it's a really first-class proposal. Yes, Councillor Horncastle.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, if we agree this today, it's another £2 million investment in Blythe on top of all the investment that we've seen there over the past 2 or 3 years. But this is about the housing in Blythe, and this just shows our commitment, this administration's commitment to our tenants in Northumberland. It's part of a story, because if you remember, it was just a month ago that we agreed the Hurst Master Plan, a 15-year project to improve the lives of people in the Hurst estate. It was just around about the same time we agreed to demolish 102 poor quality houses in Blythe. I'm talking to other members in the Blythe area about looking at similar projects there. But this is for 72 dwellings in Blythe, but like the leader says, very poor quality, deprived area. And most of these are council owned. And what's going to happen is that for a very small amount of money to this council, because most of this is government money, there's only about 10% of this is ours from the housing revenue account. We're getting new insulation, improvements to the ventilation, works to address recurrent issues with damp and mould, which is seriously important. It's one of the key issues in the new housing regulation bill, which we've got to adhere to. Remove all cavity wall insulation, which has become ineffective through damp, and fit solar panels. And the benefits to us are, and the tenants, is reduced energy consumption, low fuel bills, and improvements to health and the eradication of cold, damp and condensation build-up, and improved comfort, quality and appearance. And the other big benefit is, of course, that when all this is carried out, if we agree this, it's going to mean a 75% reduction in the council costs for repairs and maintenance. So from a housing point of view, absolutely fully endorse this. It's just part of the continuing story of this administration, ploughing money into our housing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. All very valuable points. Anything else from anyone else? Yes, Councillor Watson.
I would just like to make a couple of general comments, if I may, Leader. What's happening in Blythe is so exciting. I was there last week and I saw what was going on. I had a meeting as well last week talking about the Blythe Culture Hub. So I think what we're trying to do is put everything together and tackle our inequalities in the town of Blythe. Just heard about the housing, we've heard about other things as well. But what we're also doing is looking at things like, we've opened a library, for example, in Blythe, which gives Blythe 2 libraries, and it's the only town in Northumberland with 2 libraries. We've recently done the leisure centre and made that much more available to people. And in fact, the cultural hub, when it comes, will supply the only cinema between Cramlington and Amble for the use of people who live there, as well as other things as well. So it's really exciting to see what's going on in Blythe, and I know that there's a huge buzz amongst the people who are involved in regenerating the area. Thank you, Leader.
No, that's very helpful, and you're right. Blythe is very much changing for the better, and I'm very pleased that we are doing our absolute best and the maximum that we can to play our part in that, and it's very welcome indeed. Okay, so if there are no more questions, the recommendations are there for you. I think you proposed by Councillor Wearmouth, and I'll second those. So are you all in favour, please? Yes, that's unanimous. Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. So that moves us on to Oracle contract refresh. Now, nobody really likes talking about IT, except IT people. But I'm sure you're going to make this as scintillating as you can.
Yeah, well, this is the most exciting thing on the menu today. So, yes, very properly described as what it says on the tin, really. This is a refresh of the Oracle contract. If we do not do this, then effectively a lot of the internal council systems, when it comes to payroll and other things, will eventually come grinding to a halt when the contract expires. The team, as always is the case in the procurement and the finance team, have driven a hard bargain with Oracle, and I would just make the recommendations that are at point 3.1 to 3.2 in the report and leave it at that, Chair. Thank you.
Are you proposing this? Yes?
I am proposing that with all my heart.
Councillor Patterson is seconding. So are there any queries or questions on this? No, you see, I told you. All in favour? Please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. That takes us to our financial performance. This is the position at the end of February, and we will get the final year's position quite soon, I think, Chief Executive?
Indeed.
Yes. So this takes us to the end of February, and there is a significant amount of detail in this report, all of it very pleasing, and I have to say right at the front that I'm incredibly grateful to our staff in our finance team, Also to Cabinet Member Richard Wearmouth, who's steered us through this as well. And it is very pleasing indeed at this particular time where finance to local government is being questioned, that we have performed so strongly. So, just to give us a little bit more detail, I'm going to ask Richard Wearmouth to take us through this report.
Thank you, Leader. And there's a lot of detail in this report, and it would be quite challenging to get into the weeds of it. So I'm going to keep it relatively high level. And in fact, probably some of the best place to look at is what we're actually being asked to approve in terms of recommendations. This is a bit of window dressing. First of all, though, this is, as you say, the end of February summary. There's a bit more to come in terms of the final financial performance for that year, and you'll see that in a subsequent meeting. We've got a few things that we need to do, which are mostly housekeeping around the recommendations. So, for example, use of some of the Blythe Deep Dive funds that you see at 3.1A. We've got some reprofiling of the capital programme, of use of grants and so on. You've got notes in here as well, which include noting the net underspend after everything's totted up in terms of use of reserves that was planned. So we have a net underspend of 0.143 million. I think that I wouldn't probably draw attention to much else other than to just note that, unlike a lot of other councils, Northumberland's in very good financial health, and that's really important because it means that we can do all of those things that we want to do in terms of investment in our services here from the council, in investment in new leisure centres, in new schools, in all of the things that are transforming Northumberland. None of it can happen if you don't have sound financial management. And you can look around other parts of the North East and see, without being political about it, councils running into difficulty, having to strip out services and make some really difficult decisions. We're not having to make those difficult decisions because this is such a well-run council with balanced budgets. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually bound to agree with you, simply because the facts speak for themselves. As you say, you cannot deliver those priorities, the three key priorities that we have, which is value for money, tackling inequalities and encouraging growth in business. You can't do that if you don't have, A, the quality and passion of the staff, the dedication and ambition of a political administration, but most of all, if you don't have the money to deliver what you want to deliver. So that's why at the beginning I said I'm so grateful for all of that talent that we have and dedication within the council. And you're right, this budget saw us protecting frontline services. It saw us continuing the investment right across the county. And we've just been talking about Blythe. Last Cabinet meeting we were talking about Ashington. And we are continuing to deliver on our priorities because that is important and that is what people expect us to do. So there we are. We couldn't do it without that strong financial base, for which I'm most grateful. Are there any questions or queries? Yes, Councillor Riddle.
Thank you, Leader. I'd just like to highlight one piece of particularly good financial management and a little bit of good fortune as well. I'm drawing attention to the item on the Todstead landslip repair. This is something that, you know, it's been going on for decades, really, and you know, the county council in the past has put sticky patches on over the years, and actually when they did the work to stabilise the road here and put a new surface down because of both the movement of the land and the artesian water, it was a very complex project. At one particular point when I was talking to the contractors, when they dug the old road up, the tarmac was actually over 20 feet thick with being patched and slipping and patched and slipping over the years. So, you know, it was over, I think you said 8 metres actually, it was when they dug down. So I had great pleasure in opening this road earlier this year, ahead of schedule, and I will say much ahead of budget with a £2 million underspend, which is very grateful and very well received. But the finished job is first class, and I'm sure it will be here for generations to come.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. So that's an example of tackling the bull by the horns, by saying this is going to cost us millions to put it right, but let's get it right for once, for the first time, properly. And as you say, the depth of continued patching was incredible. But I want to say well done to you, John, for pushing this through. Well done to the local member, Councillor Trevor Thorne, who also played a large part in this, and also to our highways team and the contractors for getting this really great job done and under budget. So a good example there of good financial management. So thank you for that. Okay, anything else from anyone else? No? Okay. And actually, as you said in the previous report, Councillor Watson, we're actually investing in libraries as well. So we've wanting to make sure that, unlike some councils, we continue to have a library service that is very much fit for purpose. And I believe I'm right in saying there's a new mobile library on order to make sure that we have our library service ready and able to go out to rural areas probably in the next few months, one hopes. So that's great news as well.
I can confirm it's all of the actual delivery date. I can't confirm at the moment.
Well, let's hope it's as soon as we can get it up and running, because that's great news as well. Anyway, so that takes us back to the recommendations which have been proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour of those recommendations? You are, and thank you very much indeed, and well done again to Councillor Riddle for all the work he did on that Todstead job. The next one is around a small loan to Branxton Parish Council. We need to go through a formal process in order to agree this. This has been to our risk appraisal panel, and it follows a request from that parish council for a loan of £1,300, which we are happy to agree to. We have worked up some terms and conditions for that. And I think the other thing, and I think Councillor Patterson was mentioning this before, how important it is to help parish councils, particularly the smaller ones. Maybe you might want to touch on that in a second, with often very challenging financial conditions in which they work. The smaller, sometimes the harder it is for them. So there are the recommendations which I'm proposing. Seconded by Councillor Renner-Thompson. Are you, well, did you want to say something, Councillor Patterson?
No, that's fine. As I say, our small parish councils are incredibly important, and sometimes it can be difficult to recruit to them as well. So anyone watching this, if there's vacancies on your parish council, do please come on to them. We need you.
No, that's very wise words, and actually we are working very closely with parish and town councils. We held a second policy conference around general matters with parish and town councils just recently, and I think I'm right in saying there were over 100 attendees for that, and they all enjoyed that. And we will hold another one this autumn where we'll be talking about any issues in which we share either responsibility or money, or and we will share discussions around how we can continue to work well and work better, particularly as you say, and how we might be able to help the smaller parish councils as well. So this has been proposed and seconded. Are you in favour? You are all unanimous. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. That takes us on to a very, very important paper this morning, which is around the public and community transport health needs assessment, around transport. And I'm going to ask Councillor Veronica Jones to tell us a bit more about this.
Thank you, Leader. As you can imagine, I'm really happy to present this report, which describes how public and community transport networks in Northumberland can support the health of our communities. The report identifies current provision across Northumberland, what is needed by residents and where the gaps are, and it shows how public and community transport play a key role in keeping people healthy by allowing them to access healthcare services, education or work opportunities, and to stay socially connected. It highlights some of the things in Northumberland that are working well, such as the national £2 cap fare and the extended concessionary pass offer in Northumberland, which together are helping keep transport affordable for many. and it shows how once again Northumberland's strength lies in its people, with many passengers greatly valuing the support they receive, both from the professional drivers and the volunteer ones. However, it does raise some key transport challenges that we face as a rural county. Many of our areas have bus services that run only infrequently and rarely in the evenings. This greatly impacts on people's ability to go to work, and we know that in the UK, someone with access to a car is almost 4 times likely to be employed as someone relying on public transport alone. Large travel distances, poor connections between services mean that people can be travelling for many hours just to make a brief hospital appointment. Community transport models offer more flexibility, but often struggle to recruit the volunteers for drivers or are reliant on short-term funding, which then makes it difficult to guarantee a service for more than a few years. So we've got some key recommendations. The report's already been incorporated into the Joint Health and Wellbeing Board strategy, so there are 3 key recommendations that the Cabinet needs to look at today. The first is to endorse the action plan, which is attached as an appendix to the report, and this sets out some initial key steps to work towards a more reliable and flexible network, affordable, far-reaching and safe. It includes working with our partners in the health, care, employability and transport services on a county-wide and on a regional level. The second recommendation is to lobby for the continuation of the £2 cap fare on buses, which many residents have said helps keep transport affordable and encourages them to travel. And finally, the report recommends for Cabinet to present a call of action to the newly formed North East Combined Authority. This will include a call to factor the inherently higher costs of running rural transport into regional funding models, a call for treating commuter transport as a vital extension of the public transport network, and requests to develop rural proofing framework for future decisions, and that access to information is made equitable across both urban and rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that very thorough review of the paper. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Patterson.
Well, it's not really a question. It is more a big thank you. First of all, to the Northumberland County Council Transport team, and also to our Executive Director of Public Health, Jill O'Neill, who has, if you like, campaigned and assisted my request for a rural bus service in all areas, but in particular, I'm so grateful for the one in my area, because we now have a Saturday bus service in Ellingham, Crichtonbank, Rock, Rennington, Denwick, and it also passes by 2 hamlets, Falladon and Brunton. And I've taken this bus 3 times. I think it's been running for 6 weeks, and we have an amazing take-up by the public, who are absolutely delighted. So I, for one, think this is absolutely amazing. Nearly 10 years without a bus, and this is really something to celebrate.
Yes, very good. Let's hope that bus service is well used. It's certainly, you've done very well to get that in place, so well done. Guy, Renner Thompson.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We have a similar bus service now running between Bamborough and Wooler, which wasn't there before, which is going really well, and that links up those 2 communities in a way that I think the journey time now is about 20 minutes when it was about 2 hours, because you had to go up to Berwick and down, or vice versa. I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't mention my local train station. I think we have a great opportunity with the East Coast Main Line, but you know, there are about half a dozen stations on there that just sit idle with no trains to them for the vast majority of the day. And then if you do manage to get a train to, say, Allenmouth, the buses don't link up with the train. So there's a massive opportunities there for better connections between bus and rail. You know, from where I live, it takes about 2 hours to get to Newcastle on the bus, whereas if you could get a bus to the train station, it would probably half that time or even more. So we want to get more trains stopping at Chathill Station and the other stations on the East Coast Main Line. I think that would do a lot to alleviate the problems in this report.
Excellent, yes. John Riddle.
Thank you, Leader. I want to highlight my own community, actually, of Bellingham and that the ward. I think, you know, there's been a bus there that's been withdrawn recently, and the County Council, to give them the due, have tried to reinstate it with another service. But the problem is a shortage of bus drivers. And, you know, I think this is an issue that needs to be addressed through recruitment and training. But, you know, it is important that that these rural communities aren't forgotten. And this particular bus was a link between Bellingham and Newcastle, which went via Otterburn. You know, it was well used. It was a means of people going on a fairly reasonably early bus on a Saturday morning and then returning fairly late on a Saturday afternoon. So it gave them a decent amount of time to do a good shop. And, you know, it is disappointing that when we have the money in place for a service and we've actually tried to commission it, that we just can't actually deliver it because at present of a shortage of drivers. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's an interesting point. Councillor Stewart.
Yes, thank you. Actually, very good report, Councillor Jones there. But also in other areas, the Tyne Valley, for instance, we've got a bus service which goes along the main arterial routes. And it's so important because Hexham Hospital and the hospitals in Newcastle as well. So on the recruitment, make you aware that there is a big recruitment drive starting soon, and various bus companies have been invited to attend the Tynedale Jobs Fair, which will be held earlier this year than normal, and that is going to be a major factor which Guy up on the MP is pushing for.
Thank you very much indeed. Good. Okay, for me, there are a number of really important points in here, not least a quote from a study that was undertaken, which found that having a car makes it almost 4 times more likely that someone is employed, twice as likely that someone can access services, and almost 2 times more likely that someone can go out socially. And that is one of the key drivers that makes this work so important, and why in our new role within the new Combined Authority, which starts off today, we pick up the responsibility for rurality, and the environment, and that's why we will be working hard with this and our colleagues on the Combined Authority to make sure that this gets pride of place and that we actually encourage others on the Combined Authority to come with us on this and ensure that funding is appropriate and sufficient to ensure that we deliver on what these recommendations are, which is to endorse the action plan, and it's a very detailed and very good action plan, often the hardest bit to write in a report, but it's a very good action plan, to lobby nationally for the continuation of the £2 cap fare, which I think the government can be rightly proud of finding that money under the Bus Improvement Partnership work to actually put forward to ensure that more people can afford to go on the bus. And also a call to action to the newly formed NECA, the Combined Authority, highlighting the key issues around transport in rural areas. And I will make sure that that is very much on everyone's agenda. So thank you very much, Councillor Jones. Thank you very much to the team. But I particularly want to thank Kat and Luke, who work in this section. And I think of the work I've seen carried out in the council over quite a long time. This is probably about the best report I've ever seen. And I'm very grateful to you and everyone else that worked on it. So thank you. There are the recommendations. They've been proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour? Lovely. So thank you again, and thank you, Kat, in particular, for the work that you've done on this. That takes us to the nominations for outside bodies. We have a list. We've agreed them. The one that we will need to just talk about a tiny bit more is the Advanced Northumberland nominations, which we will, and they will be they'll be taken off because actually we don't nominate to that because that is now part of this new renaissance that we see in Advance, where we have a splendid new board, new chief executive, and an organisation that is flying and doing really well. I think I need to just make that recommendation to agree those nominations apart from the advance Northumberland. I'm proposing those. And Councillor Watson is seconding. Are you all in favour? Yes, you are. That's lovely. Thank you very much. And that takes us to the final one, which is the appointment of the Cabinet Shareholder Committee. That's there for your information, and the membership, which again actually is another part of the way we are working with Advance now. Is we have this small group of us that take regular reports from Advance and have that regular dialogue that's so important, and sharing of views and the challenge that's necessary sometimes. Those members are the leader or other cabinet member appointed by the leader for this purpose, cabinet member with portfolio for finance and resources, and that cabinet member for business. And so, with that, I would like to propose those, and that's seconded. And are you all in favour? Thank you very much indeed. And is there any urgent business?
No, Leader.
In that case, that's the end of the meeting. Thank you all very much for joining, and thank you for joining at home.